There's a saying in our community, back where I come from, and basically, what's understood does not have to be explained, but it must be understood. There was not a lot of explaining when the CEO of National Fuel Gas decided to hike rates and pocket the profits back in 2011. You see that lady in the stripes? That's me. Um, but we continued to fight on. We organized, we formed strategy, and we fought with folks from around the state to win the most aggressive climate law in 2019, the Community Leadership and Climate Protection Act. But it remains to be funded. What we've learned is that it takes deep roots. It takes a lot of time. It takes deep resources and deep relationships to produce change. Our communities are already doing the work. We're doing the work under-resourced in a lot of ways, but we must remember and understand that for decades, our frontline communities have been disinvested and left behind, left to just barely survive. But the good news is that our communities can thrive. We can prevent our communities from spiraling backwards. And right now, with the influx of federal funding, the Inflation Reduction Act, greenhouse gas reduction funds will show great promise to Black and Brown, Indigenous, and poor working class folks in addressing historical harms and preparing for climate resiliency. Right now, what we need is significant and continuous investment from philanthropy, which will help us leverage these opportunities. It'll also help us to be nimble. One of the things that's really important right now in this particular moment is that, yes, communities have been doing what they have to do under-resourced, but with the funds that are outside of the federal funding resources that are coming down, we're able to shift and to respond to whatever's happening boots on the ground. Our theory of change is centered on the just transition framework. At PUSH, we believe that there is no such thing as a single issue struggle because we do not live single issue lives. That's from Audre Lorde. There are no halfway solutions. We use a holistic approach to address these deep, systemic, and structural issues of racial, economic, social, and environmental disparities that are deeply rooted in Buffalo, New York. The Just Transition Framework helps us understand how at every level we must commit to multifaceted approaches to restoring communities and decolonizing resources. A vision-led, unifying, and place-based set of principles, processes, and practices that build economic and political power to shift from an extractive economy to a regenerative economy. This theory helps us keep regeneration, democracy, community control, and care as our North Star in all of our work. So you might be wondering, why am I talking about this? Because we have to keep community front and center in all the conversations. We could talk about the financial models. We can talk about what we're here to do and how we can really take advantage of this moment. But when it all comes back down to it, we're here because communities are front and center. We're here because we have been disinvested for decades, and now it's time to really double down on the investment to restore our communities. We have a saying back home, too, a lot of sayings, right? Those that are closest to the problem are closest to the solution. And we have solutions. We've been experimenting for 2 decades, trying to figure out how to do what we do well, how to do what we do with keeping our community focused as those who are deeply impacted, who's boots on the ground, who's always figuring out what they need, where they live. But today, I want to talk about a model that PUSH has experimented with, and it could have profound impacts on how communities, families, and even our funding partners, as part of a community-driven, just transition strategy, can meet our goals. But before I get to that, I want to talk a little bit about Buffalo. No, not just snow and the Buffalo Bills and chicken wings and all of that wonderful stuff. I know y'all love to hear. But Buffalo, with a population of just over 277,000 people, is the nation's 3rd poorest city in the midst of an economic renaissance right now, for some. The Queen City is also the sixth segregated city in New York State, except for the west side of Buffalo. This is where Push Green's Green Development Zone is located, one of the most racially and ethnically diverse neighborhoods in Western New York. The Green Development Zone. As you can see, this is the west side of Buffalo. The west side of Buffalo is a drop in the bucket compared to the size of the city of Buffalo. It has a population of 30% Black or African American folks, 30% Latinx, 30% white people, and 10% immigrants and refugees from Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and North Africa. The community is predominantly poor and working class and working poor. The average household income is $46,000, and renters outnumber homeowners 3-to-1. 31% of households have high energy burdens. The West Side area in general also has some of the highest childhood lead poisoning rates and asthma rates in New York State. So thinking about that for a second, I'll just let that settle in. Cities like Buffalo and communities like the West Side are ripe for practice improving our theory of change. The West Side of Buffalo, where the Green Development Zone is located, has recently experienced citywide tax reassessments. Property values are rapidly increasing, which is, we're slated to be the hottest real estate market in the country. That's great for some, but the greatest challenge facing Buffalo is income inequality that is highly racialized, with the lack of access to quality, livable housing, good-paying jobs, quality education, and poor health outcomes. These challenges have been persistent, structural, and systemic. Nothing for us without us. At Push, when it comes to turning our neighborhoods around, we put people first because we know what we want where we live. We develop grassroots leaders to fight for solutions to intersecting crises of climate, housing, and economic justice. What you see right now is a flyer for a community Congress. When it comes to working on our projects, no matter where we are, we put people first. So we bring folks in at the very beginning stages of any project and we ask them what they want. So that is how we center. We include our community in governance and decision making. We have a board that is 75% comprised of frontline community members. Our models are meant to be holistic, that you can't just deal with one problem without looking at the whole system. We're talking about ecosystem change. We're talking about looking at the entire community and how it got to the point where it's at and what we can do together to begin to turn it around. This is what I like to call a partnership in community with our folks. This is funders, this is donors, this is lenders. These are our elected officials who are in right relationship with us. As we needed to provide both an education to our community, we also need to educate each other on where we are and what we need in order to move this forward. When Push created the Green Development Zone, it was a 25 square block neighborhood on the west side. It was the primary hub of our community-driven work. Over the years, we've grown to a 40-block radius. This proves the scalable nature of the work that we do. Our strategies are built to be more democratic and build in equitable policies that address poor housing conditions and the lack of living wages in our neighborhoods. Considering that this is our place of practice, we also generate housing construction, community-based renewable energy projects, weatherization, green job trainings, and vacant land restoration projects towards the goal of creating pathways to employment, generational wealth, and housing security for the neighborhood while reducing our carbon footprint. Right now, Push has been experimenting within this green development zone with many different projects through the years. Some of them you can see demonstrated on one of our newest buildings, School 77, which is our headquarters. It's an 80 square foot former school where we also have 30 senior units that are energy efficient, 64 kilowatt community solar and green roof on the green installed on the roof. We have eco landscaping. We also have other community hubs in the area for intergenerational community programming. We have the WASH Project, which is a community program that hosts many Burmese refugees to come in and have a safe place. And we also do affordable and sustainable housing. The West Side Homes Project, which is really what I want to talk to you a little bit about today, is a 49 apartments across 14 scattered sites. It's a $21 million affordable housing development that encompasses the rehabilitation of 2 buildings and the new construction of 11 buildings. The reason why this model is important is because it's very innovative. It's not only sustainable, but it's affordable. It's not only sustainable and affordable, but it's also a space where people who have not had the support to have long-term success, that's where they can live. This is important because it's Passive House certified. And whenever we build a project, we don't build to construction grade. We always try to improve with every project that we build. This is owner grade, so whatever you would like in your home, we try to make sure that this is in the homes of the people who are going to be living there. And the reason why the West Side Homes model is very important as we look towards the future of what the Green Development Zone could be is because we believe that you have to not only look at one side of the issue. So yes, where do people need to live? Sometimes people need to rent, and sometimes people need to own. Well, what are we doing with ownership? We're looking towards using the West Side Homes Project as the catalyst, as the answer to home ownership. So there's many home ownership programs out there, but what we hope to do is to use this model for West Side Homes and apply it to help our community launch first-time home ownership opportunities and build generational wealth. Passive House certified, hopefully green roofs, solar panels, and we already have these homes in our portfolio. So we're going to launch this pilot. It's going to be 7 homes, and we're hoping that this will be in right relationship with the rest of the work that we've done to date, including not only solar panels and metal roofs, but ground and air source heat pumps. These units will be duplexes, so hopefully the owner will occupy one and will rent out the other. There will be deed restrictions, basically cementing permanent affordability into the future and mandating that the first right of refusal comes back to Push so that these buildings do not leave our portfolio or don't leave our community, I should say. So why is this important right now? Well, the demand hasn't caught up to technology. We have to finance, we have to have a safety net mechanism built in to support the first-time homeowners. What we're doing with the Green Development Zone is we're proving that another world is possible, that we can scale, we can replicate, we can also customize this Green Development Zone model in other areas. When we first set out to create a community of practice, we started small. One property at a time, one block at a time. We have increased the scale of our geographic area, as I said, from 25 to 40 block radius within a 10-year period by braiding funding sources. We're able to now see a clean energy future with our Sustainable Workforce Training Center. We will hopefully employ people on the project that are from and of, as we've done in previous projects. And since our inception, we've been able to receive investments up to $108 million for our green affordable housing, green infrastructure, and stormwater management systems within the Green Development Zone. We've managed to weatherize over 1,000 homes and retrofit 1,000 homes. We have our community has seen over 388 388, I'm sorry, y'all, 388 in annual energy savings for poor and working class households. And we've employed 250 folks through green jobs, and 450 folks have come through our worker training programs. Over $90 million in green infrastructure investments have come through the city of Buffalo, and we hope that we continue the trend. My call to action to those of you in the room today is that if we trust the people that are already doing the work, trust the people and the people become trustworthy. That's Adrienne Marie Brown. Funders can stand in solidarity with organizational leaders that are in frontline communities by adopting a partnership model, by adopting a holistic approach to funding, just as what we saw with the Just Transition Fund framework. We can explore risk tolerance as a practice. Double down on your investments. We need the capital to match the moment. Now isn't the time to divest or sit on the sidelines and wait to see if there's going to be an impact with the political climate, what's going to happen next. Our communities need capacity and support right now to fortify our infrastructures and to do the deep and complex work that we've been doing. What was achieved with the Green Development Zone is incredible, but we need investments because the work isn't finished. The serial conditions on the ground are exaggerated, addiction, the unhoused, unyielding attack from the fossil fuel industry, running amok with millions and billions of funding behind their back, and they're misinforming and scaring and harming, causing harm to our frontline communities. The plans for the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund must include a just transition lens, including models like the GDZ. Trust the people, fund the work, scale the models. The time is now. Thank you.